Hi guys, welcome back to this Manchester City Retro Save. My name is Chris, aka Big Will, and we've got a little bit of a different episode for you today. We've got Middlesbrough away here on the 31st of January, and what we're going to do, we're going to follow it up with transfer deadline day. And we might be able to do a little bit of business, but we'll see what happens in the meantime. Now, in terms of business that's already been completed, we've only brought in one player in this transfer window, and that is Bakary Sagna. Of course, he played for Arsenal and Manchester City, amongst other teams as well. And we signed him from Auxerre for £11 million. As you can see, his value is already way above that. And the fact that he's only 18, or already 220 under 21 caps, and 3-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. I think he is a really big option for us at right back this season. And as such, we are looking to make the sale of Stephen Carr, but we'll have to wait and see when that might go through. In terms of business that we've done for exits in this transfer window in January so far, Jamie Pollock left on the 1st. He went to Wimbledon FC for £1 million. He wasn't featuring at all and he's been transfer listed for a while. I'm happy to have got the £1 million. He is worth more than that at maximum value, but he's had a really good career with us and I'm happy to have sold him. And Willy Caballero returned from his previous loan spell and he's gone back out on loan, hopefully to get some first team football at Hibernian in the Scottish Premier League. In terms of our form, we've looked quite decent to be honest since I was last with you. I can't remember exactly which game it was that we came to last time. But looking at the way things have gone, we've been absolutely fantastic so far. I think it was Sunderland and Sheffield Wednesday, if I remember correctly. We beat Coventry quite well. The home game against Middlesbrough, they've beaten us again. They did so in the Cup, I think, season before last, if I remember correctly. And we got some good games in this previous month. We lost in the FA Cup to Nottingham Forest, so that is another competition exit early doors, which was quite disappointing. But in terms of the Premier League, a 1-0 draw with Liverpool, great result considering they're fighting it with Manchester United at the top. We drew 0-0 originally against Forest in the FA Cup, and we then followed that up with a brilliant 3-2 win at home to Arsenal. Cal Court scoring a hat-trick. It was absolutely fantastic for us in the end. And we then followed that up with the defeat against Forest in the FA Cup, like I say. We then went to Stamford Bridge and we won against Chelsea once again with a 4-2 win. As you can see, Craig Bellamy, absolutely phenomenal in that game. He started up front, scored 3 goals from there. We switched him to the left and he scored an extra one on top of that. And then for the home game against Leicester, a 3-0 win again. Bellamy, instrumental again with 2 goals from Cal Court. Going into this away game against Middlesbrough, we've not got a good record against them in previous games. I am hoping that we can put that to bed today and try and get a better result against them. A few of our players are wanting a little bit more game time, and as such, that is why the lineup is a little bit different. So Weaver in goal, we've got Upson, Craddock, Smith and Mills at the back. Toure and Lampard the midfield pair, with Damien Duff, Danny Murphy and Kevin Davis in behind Cal Court. Like I say, I'm hoping for a slightly better result against Middlesbrough today. We've really struggled against them in the past. The main players in particular that have done damage to us is Hamilton Ricard. He tends to score against us quite regularly, and hopefully we can keep him a little bit more quiet today. But like I was saying, form is good. Aside of that previous game against Middlesbrough, we've had a good spell without defeat, apart from that FA Cup tie. So hopefully we can continue in that manner and make a U-turn on our form against Middlesbrough. Smith into Craddock. This is Frank Lampard. Launches it down the left-hand side early on here to Damien Duff. He has support in the penalty area. If he can find it, he cuts inside and goes for goal. And it's a comfortable save in the end by Mark Schwarzer. Positive start though, only 2 minutes gone at that point, and we've got our first shot in on target. In terms of possession, it's all very even in the opening 10 minutes as well, but we are the team creating the opportunities so far. Middlesbrough not looking into too much at the minute, but we'll see how we get on. Danny Mills now. It's going to be cleared comfortably by Mark Schwarzer. He just holds on to it briefly, and he delivers to Callum Davenport. He plays it out to left back Quinn. Quinn looks to move it forward here, lays it over the top, and there's a Ricard, and it's a good save from Nicky Weaver, but once again, Ricard getting free against us, and fortunately that time he couldn't convert, but we need to be better than that defensively, otherwise we are going to get punished in this game. They've not been in the best of form, really, Middlesbrough, but they seem to always play well against us. And this is Armstrong now, and it's bundled wide. A brilliant save from Nicky Weaver. I thought Ricard might have had a slight knock on that one, but it ended up just going wide anyway. This is Lucio Flavio with the delivery from the corner. Good clearance. I'm not sure who by, but it was a good clearance nonetheless. But still, Middlesbrough have the attack here. Weaver punches clear, caught further away, but only as far as Davenport. And as you can see, Nicky Weaver is the key player in our team at the moment in this game. This is Harkness looking to move it wide left for Quinn, who's in loads of space here. And Quinn holding onto it well. Danny Mills, good pressure from him, but it didn't really amount to anything. DeVos into De Los Santos. Now Armstrong. Lucio Flavio's in behind, and Lucio Flavio scores. And once again, Middlesbrough cut us open, and we just can't do anything against Middlesbrough. I don't know what it is about them, but we really, really struggle to play against them. They've had 4 attempts and 4 on target. It's just flicked over to 5, in fact, for their attempts, but that was poor. Once again, they just cut us open, and Nicky Weaver, I feel for him, he's worked very hard in 20 minutes and he's had very little reward. We're going to demand more already because this is unacceptable. We're not looking good at the moment. Although saying that, I've just seen the score in the Newcastle-Leicester game. Newcastle are 4-0 up in the opening half an hour, so we're doing a bit better than Leicester are, but hey-ho. Here's Kevin Davis, he loses his possession. Now Lucio Flavio into Armstrong, and here's Ricard over the top, and Ricard smacks it just over the crossbar, but again he's getting free, and we're really, really struggling to keep this Middlesbrough team under wraps, and it's a big concern, to be honest. This is not good enough, and I'm going to let the players know that this is not good enough. Considering where we are in the table at the moment, we're looking quite good. Currently set in 5th place. Middlesbrough are behind us in 7th place. Lampard is going to come off here for Michael Brown. He's not had a good game and he's struggling for a bit of fitness as well. But this is very, very poor from our boys at the moment. We're going to make some more substitutions, I think, and try and strengthen things. Ashley Cole's currently injured as well, so that's another reason that we're struggling on that left-hand side. We're going to bring Wayne Bridge on at left-back. We're going to bring Craig Bellamy on for Damien Duff, who's had a really poor game. Richie Humphries is also going to come on for Danny Murphy. And, I mean, Yaya Toure and Mark Smith are on yellow cards, but they're so vital to the way that we play. I think, you know what, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to take Kyle Court off despite his good form, and we're going to bring on Andy Johnson for a bit more game time. He's done well for the most part when he's come off the bench, but there's an opportunity now for Middlesbrough. It's Ollie, and he plays it back to De Los Santos, who's free. Lucio Flavio, Stockdale. That was a really well worked move by Middlesbrough there, but it was a good block by our defender, and it's cleared away. They have got a set piece now, though. It's Lucio Flavio with the delivery, and a brilliant block on the line by Wayne Bridge, already justifying his coming on from the bench there. Here's Kenton looking in for Ricard, and he's put it. Well, he's produced a save in the end from Nicky Weaver. I thought it was going wide anyway, but it remains 1-0. But all of a sudden, we are absolutely under the cosh here. We need to start moving forward, and we're going to struggle, I think, to get anything out of this game. Once again, it's Middlesbrough that are doing the deed against us. We're going to demand more from the boys. This has been so poor. I mean, look at the statistics there. Middlesbrough are all over us here, and it wouldn't surprise me if this went to 2, maybe even 3-0 at this rate. Here's Johnson. Plays it forward, and Ricard's in again, and it's Lucio Flavio. He smashes it home. It took a deflection on the way through to Lucio Flavio, and Ricard with the assist, and I just don't understand why we can't play against Middlesbrough. It's so bizarre. We're going to go attacking, and we're going to fire the boys up as well, but I can't imagine it's going to make any difference. We've been so poor. Danny Mills over the top, though, and it's Andy Johnson. Opportunity maybe here for the English striker, and again, the shot is tame, and Schwarzer makes a very easy save. Wayne Bridge now, with a throw into Yaya Toure. Wayne Bridge whips it to the far post. Kevin Davis couldn't get onto it, and this is Ollie now. Good tackle by Danny Mills. Moving to the attacking mentality, of course. It is throwing players forward, but we need to do it to get back into the game here. Here's Wayne Bridge into Craig Bellamy. He has support in the penalty area if he can find it. He finds Humphries now. Plays it across to Andy Johnson, and again it's straight at Schwarzer. It's so poor. We're not looking convincing when we have a strike in this game. And Rickard's in behind again. Again, our defence has switched off, and again it's Rickard. I'm sick to death of him, to be honest. He's scoring every single time he plays against us. And, I mean, we're just going to drop back to our normal mentality. We're not going to get back into this game now. We're going to demand more again. But this is... Oh, it really winds me up. We're playing so well, and then we just come up against that one team, and we can't do anything against them. I mean, they clearly deserve to win the game. They've been by far the better side. And I mean, Kevin Davies is 6.1. He's done absolutely nothing in this game. As has Wayne, apart from that goal line clearance early doors, Wayne Bridge has been poor. As has Mark Smith, our main centre back. And I'm not very happy at all with that. That is the worst we've played for quite some time. And yeah, I don't really know what to say to that, to be honest. A 3-0 defeat. I wasn't surprised in the end. They dominated us for the majority of the game. They moved 7 points behind us now, and as such, we've dropped out of the top four, which is quite annoying. Obviously, we weren't expected to be in the top four. We're doing so well. We've already hit that 40-point mark, which was my target at the start of the season, and that's after just 24 matches. So with 14 games to play, anything could happen. If we qualify for Europe, even if it's the Europa League, I will be more than happy with that. And yeah, there's plenty of work to do, even from there. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in that manner. We are looking to offload Stephen Carr, as I was saying previously. After bringing in Sanya, he was concerned about his playtime, so we have agreed that he will leave the club for £1.5 million. It's just a case of waiting for him to sign. Um, so we'll have to wait and see whether he will make that last minute move or not. We are potentially looking at one or two players, but we haven't got a lot of money to spend. The £11 million that we've spent on Bakary Sagna was quite a big chunk of our budget. We had a lot of wage budget left over, so we managed to move that and convert it into our transfer budget a little bit, which worked out quite well. It meant that we could bring in Sagna, and we have got a little bit of money to spend as well. And in terms of actually our first team, there's, I don't need to do too much business, to be quite honest. I mean, John Terry, Mark Smith, Gareth Barry and Jody Craddock. You got Phil Jagielka as well, so we've got 5 good centre-backs there. Danny Mills and Bakary Sagna are our 2 right-backs. I think potentially we could do with a left-back, but it's a case of whether we'll be able to find one or not, especially if Ashley Cole ends up leaving. We have said to Ashley Cole, because he wanted to leave, we have said to him that hopefully, if we qualify for Europe, he will stay at that point. If he doesn't, he may want to leave the club. So there's a lot of pressure on us in that regard, but I think a backup left back might be something that we look into at this moment in time. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to basically just have a look and see who's out there that is eligible based on the transfer rules. We've got about £8 million to spend, which is quite useful. We're going to go for left back, and we'll just have a look to see what's available out there, really. English left back Robbie Elliott, but he's not injured for very long, 4 to 8 days, and he's 28 years of age. He's a little bit older than what I tend to go for. He's not got a lot of pace either, but I'm getting to the point where finding a left back is proving quite difficult. I mean, Ian Hart, I mean, he looks like a top class left back, really, but again, he's not particularly quick. Saying that, he's a 3.5-star player, and I think he's someone that we might be able to bring in. We'll have to see just how much he would do. Well, in terms of money, he doesn't want that much, so I think what we might do, we'll try and bring him in. He's 24 years of age. We don't really want to mess about too much in terms of the transfer fee. I'm one of these players. I like to do things straight up in terms of the finances. I don't like installments or anything like that. What I pay is what I pay, and then that's that. So Ian Hart could come in for an £8.5 million fee. It's within our budget, and we got the wage budget that we can spend on him as well. Gary Naismith is also an option. He's got a lot more pace, but his crossing ability isn't as good. So there's certainly going to be options there, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with Ian Hart first. There's Paul Robinson, our former left back. I mean, if I could, well, I mean, he'd be quite happy to rejoin, I think. But I think for certain parts of his statistics and whatnot, he might not be quite good enough for us at this level. But he is playing regularly at Derby in the Premier League, so that is also an option. Well, we're going to up it to 40k just to try and finalise it a little bit sooner. Um, I thought he was going to want a little bit more money than that, to be honest, Ian Hart. And as deadline day approaches, we could be on the verge of a very important signing here at left back. I've been looking for so long for a left back, and I kept saying no to a deal with Ian Hart purely because he's not quick. But I've been looking at the rest of his stats, and he's top quality. He really is, and he did the rounds amongst a number of clubs in the past. In real life, Leeds, he had a long time at Leeds, so and that was when they were good and in the Premier League regularly as well. I will just see. Yep, that's that. Obviously, we've got to go through all of this in the process. The fact that we've brought in Sanya at right back as well, he's 18, and I think he'll be a very good solid option. The fact that he's 18 and a 3-star quality right back already, in relation to Stephen Carr and Danny Mills, and Danny Mills is also a bit concerned about his game time as well. I don't think we're going to sell Danny Mills, but you never know on deadline day. People come in for players so late, and I'm not going to rule out any sales. If players want to leave, they might leave, and it's the same with bringing players in. We'll have to replace them, but we'll have to wait and see what happens as deadline day approaches. Um, but I am hopeful that Ian Hart will complete his move from Arsenal. He might. Another thing with these players, they could sign new contracts at their current clubs. They might want to stay, but at the same time, we're doing better than Arsenal this season, so he may well come straight up without a fight at all. But we'll have to wait and see. As you can see, there's loan deals potentially in the offing as well from a number of other clubs for different players. So, and as you can see, I'm currently untouchable in my job security, which is really, really nice. They got me to sign a new contract, a new 4-year deal on 30 grand a week not long ago in game. So I'd be quite happy to take it in real life, to be honest. 30 grand a week would be very nice. But I mean, for club vision and culture, we've got an A plus. For the matches, we're only at a C plus. We have been disappointed in some games, but considering where we are in the table and what the targets were at the start of the season, I think that should be a lot better than it is. Transfers B minus, tactics a B, and for the squad an A minus in terms of the backing that I have, and the supporters. I've got a lot of support there as well. So yeah, it's not been too bad so far. I'm really pleased with how things are going. And just there's Martin Di Michelis, of course, played for City briefly as well, but he's only a 2.5-star player. He's only 21, but he's not a player that we need really. One player I have been looking at quite regularly just to see is the likes of Robinho, Adebayor, and Penza and Tevez. I've been very interested in all of them, and none of them want to join at the moment. And Penza does want to join, but look at his value. It's a little bit difficult at this moment in time. And this one is a deal I wanted to do. I've not had the finances to pull it off because I've been focusing on other areas of the pitch. But Mark Vivian Foe, I mean, I've got a lot of respect for the man. And of course, he unfortunately passed away when he was on loan at Manchester City. He was on international duty at the time, but the fact that I didn't look for him in game, but he suddenly appeared on one of his scout reports, and I couldn't resist on shortlisting him. I'm hoping to be able to bring him in for next season, but yeah, that was a bit of a touching moment when I found him on the game, to be honest, considering his unfortunate circumstances in the past. Um, anyway, all that aside, as we come to deadline day, we have got business to conduct. And with the finances that we have available to us, I think signing Ian Hart at left back will probably be the main bit of business that we do. If we get some good options in terms of player sales, we may do so, but it'll depend on how much cover we've got. In terms of looking at our striking options, which is why I've been looking at the likes of Tevez and Adebayor, Obviously, they had solid careers at City as well. I mean, apparently we're really interested in Mpenza amongst other players as well. Um, and Coventry are being linked with Jody Craddock as well as Bayern Leverkusen still being linked with Ashley Cole. We are going to take part in deadline day. That is the whole point of this episode. So let's see how we get on. I do enjoy this screen. It just adds that little bit of extra incentive, doesn't it, really? Yeah, we'll decline that one. And 14 hours remaining. We want to get our deal over the line. And of course, we want to make sure Stephen Carr leaves the club at the same time as well. It'll free up a little bit of budget, but nothing too major. But the budget that we save from Stephen Carr goes towards the deal for Ian Hart as well. So it'll be a one in, one out scenario. We have spent more than we've brought in, which is a little bit of a concern, but we have needed to. Um, so as such, as it dwindles away here, we're still waiting for any confirmation of Stephen Carr leaving the club and for Ian Hart arriving at the club. Um, there is a rumour of Richard Dunn coming to us as well. He's another player I've been looking at. Of course, he was captain for Manchester City for a number of years, and I think he had Player of the Year 3 or 4 years in a row as well at the club. So he was another player I was looking at. He can play at right back and centre back. So again, he's got that versatility, but at this moment in time, we don't necessarily need that. And as good as he is at centre back and as good as he was for Manchester City back in the past, he is not someone that we need at this moment in time. There's a number of options potentially here. We can't sign him based on the rules that I've put in. Callum Davenport is someone that we could sign. He's an English centre back currently at Middlesbrough, and he's currently 3-star rated at 19. But again, our main focus is to get a left back in this transfer window. We're going to have to act quickly, to be quite honest. There is certainly business happening at some point in this transfer window on deadline day, but when it will be, I'm not sure. As the time goes, it gets more and more like nerve-wracking as such. There's Michael Essien there, I see. He's looking into a potential move. Of course, never played for City and he's Ghanaian. We can't sign him. It's so nice, though, to see all these names coming through youth academies again. Obviously, having grown up watching these players, it's a bit odd, to be quite honest. Pepe there as well, the Portuguese centre back. Oh, well, he's a Brazilian centre back. I'm not entirely sure if Pepe was originally Brazilian or whether he was always Portuguese. But that's another one that'll be coming through eventually. Ipswich have come in with an offer for John Terry. That's a bit of an interesting one. I don't really want to sell John Terry. We signed him for £4 million last season, and to be quite honest, I mean, I want to keep John Terry. I'm not interested in selling him. There's the deal for Ian Hart. We have brought him in £8.5 million from Arsenal. Really, really happy with that. We have got our left back in, and it just gives us that extra option. Matthew Upson is a good player, but he's not good enough to be playing regularly, unfortunately. Ian Hart straight into that squad, and that is really, really positive from our point of view. Stephen Carr is going to be out of the squad as well. Hopefully he will leave, because he is a player that we have pretty much replaced already. So if he does leave, there's no worries about it at all. But Ian Hart coming in, really happy with that one. He'll be a first team regular straight away, and hopefully we can move Carr on. Milan Baros there has gone from Wimbledon to Leeds in a £2.5 million deal. Michael Chopra has gone on loan to Wolves there. So again, Michael Chopra wasn't in game from the start. He came through at Newcastle, and that was that. Stephen Carr has rejected all of the potential moves. We're going to try and offer him out again. We have just taken him out of the squad as well. And Coventry have made a bid for Jody Craddock. Now, Jody Craddock, he's a very, very solid defender. But he's 2.5 star and he's 26. And he is a player that I might move on. And he has been wanting more game time as well. So I think what I'm going to do, I don't want any of these extra incentives. Um, I'm not bothered about sending a replacement player. I think we've got a good enough squad. £1.5 million we'll get for Jody Craddock. We'll let him leave, I think. It's a bit of a shame, really. He's been a good rotation player for us, but he has been asking me for so much more first team football recently. And with 9 hours left in the transfer window, that is how much time he has to make that move to Coventry. Uh, yeah, Stephen Carr again. There's no one coming in for him, and he understands that he's not going to play under my stewardship now, and yet he continues to reject moves. We're going to offer him out again. We're going to reject that one for Ilano and decline that one. If Craddock does go, I might see how much money we get and see if we could make a move maybe for Richard Dunn, just because he's a personal favourite, to be honest. It's going to be last minute stuff if we can get a deal done, but in order to be able to do it, Jody Craddock's rejected the contract offer, so as it stands, we're not going to be doing any more business by the looks of things. I was expecting Carr to leave, and like I say, Craddock could have left there as well. But in terms of our squad balance, we're quite strong. But with Stephen Carr, I mean, I suppose we could register him again. We have got that space in the squad, to be fair. If we stick him back in the squad, he was in the under-21s for a while. I've moved him back into the senior side. Um, he's another option, I suppose, but I don't really plan on using him. There's a rumour going around that we're in for Keith Gillespie, the winger at Blackburn, Northern Irishman. But we haven't got the money. And if we'd have sold Stephen Carr, we might have had a little bit of money to spend, but we certainly wouldn't have had £11.25 million to be spending. I think we've done well, though. I mean, we've only strengthened at fullback in this window, but we did a lot of our big business at the start of the campaign. So Nicholas Jensen there. Now he did play for City in real life. He's left Blackburn on loan for Benfica, so that's a good signing for Benfica there. The Danish left back did quite well at City as well. He played for us for 2 or 3 seasons from what I can remember, and in the end he got replaced by, I think it was Michael Tarner at the time, the German left back signed from Bayern Munich, I think it was, on a free transfer at the time. There's Julian Lescott, of course, another player who did really well at City, but looking at his actual stats, I don't think he's going to be a player that we're going to be too interested in. His actual defensive attributes are excellent. In terms of his strength and his jumping reach, his heading, marking, tackling position, absolutely excellent, but concentration of 7 is... Nah, you can't have that as a centre back, unfortunately. In my opinion, he did well for City in real life, but in game they are not the kind of stats that we want. Um, yeah, I wasn't expecting it, but I think we're pretty much done for this transfer window. We will continue through and see if anything else happens, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, I think, to be honest. Um, potential Wigan have made an offer for Thomas Flynn, who, yeah, Thomas Flynn's a good young winger, but I don't think he's going to be playing for us at all, the Welshman. They made a bit of 115,000, or what, a lot more than that. He's 18, he's a good prospect. I'm not fussed about percentage of profit. I mean, he's never going to play. I'll say 250,000. Yeah, they've cancelled the deal. They haven't got the money, so we'll just keep hold of him for a while, really. Yeah, we're being linked with quite a few different players here, but like I say, we haven't got the money. It makes no difference. There's a number of potential loan deals going through for different players as well at the moment. Well, I'm really happy with the balance of the squad, and we're playing well for the most part. I know we've just been battered by Middlesbrough, but we have been playing quite well, and the fact that we're beating teams like Arsenal and Chelsea at this point is remarkable. And if we qualify for Europe, that will be the telling option for next season. Can we juggle being in Europe with also playing in the Premier League as well as the other competitions on top of that? So there's certainly going to be challenges next season if we qualify for Europe. If we don't qualify for Europe, the challenge is still there. We've got to continue to do well in the Premier League. And to be quite honest, I think we're going to be done. I'm going to conclude our transfer business there with 5 hours remaining. I don't think we're going to sell Stephen Carr. If he was going to go, I think he'd have already gone, and I think that's going to be that. To be honest, we've just still got to wait a little while for it to play itself through, which is a little bit irritating. But um, if we get any other bids, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And if we do get bids in for players, we can re-enter the deadline day negotiation for the hourly rate, but I don't think we will now. I think the players that we'd want to sell have already gone, or they've rejected the contract and they're going to stay. So business is done. I'm happy that we've got that left back in though as cover for Ashley Cole. I think that is vital, and I think Ian Hart will certainly be a mainstay in the squad. And Ashley Cole has now got a fight to keep his position in the team as well. We've had loan deal for Carrick come in, which we've rejected. A very late bid has come in for Mark Smith, and oh, so he's got a release clause of 8.5 million in his contract. I want him to stay, and Liverpool are in the Champions League. Oh dearie me! This is the one kind of thing that I was hoping to avoid. So we're rejecting that. We've discussed it with Mark Smith. He's happy to wait. We're rejecting that as well. He's happy to wait, see if his release clause is met. If it's not, he will stay. If it is, he may leave. The fact that we've persuaded him to stay that little bit longer is remarkable in itself. I forgot he had a release clause in his contract, but of course now he'll be unhappy at the club for a while, so we can't sort anything like that out. We've got to wait for that to sort itself, really. And we just have to hope that Liverpool don't come in with a bid for his release clause. But this is the thing, you see, we conclude our business and then deals start coming through, or potential deals, should I say. I mean, that for Mark Smith, it was structured quite well in terms of the deal itself, but we're not in the business of selling our best players. He's our best defender, and yes, we did it at the start of the season with Van Boyten, but that was unfortunate. Once he had his release clause triggered, he wanted to go to Chelsea, and that was the end of that. We couldn't do anything about that. So we've just got to wait now, and hopefully the day will come to an end, and we will move forward. And again, we're going to making these offers for Flynn, but the offers are not good enough. They're not good enough at all. We're not going to sell him for the cheap. He's classed as a promising winger, and in my opinion, that means he's going to be a good player. And we want what we want for him. But there we go. The deadline day has now passed, and we've managed to complete the signing of Ian Hart at left back and Bakary Sagna, who's classed as a wonder kid, at right back. Pollock and Caballero left the club. Caballero only on loan, of course. But we've moved up to mid-table for our wages as well. So we're trying to class ourselves as a mid-table club now, and I think that is where we need to be at this moment in time. Sunderland 6 players in, West Ham 9 players out. They spent £57 million, Sunderland. That is ridiculous. Joe Cole went to Arsenal from West Ham for £41 million. Deadline day deal, Robbie Fowler, as he did in real life, has gone to Leeds. And it was after he was at Leeds that he joined City, so there may be hope for us yet, but £25.5 million for Robbie Fowler there is very, very little money, to be honest. And yeah, that is very good business from Leeds for sure. Well, that is that. As you can see, Jeffers went to Sunderland, 28.5 mil. Phil Neville went to France to play for Monaco as well, which is a bit of an unusual one. So they're the top deadline deals. And as we look forward, I think what I'm going to do is I'll get quite a few games out of the way here. Let's have a look. Well, certainly, I think what we're going to do, because we did Sheffield Wednesday and Sunderland in a previous episode, so we'll skip through February and March. And I think what we'll probably do is come back for the Tottenham game at home, followed by the Manchester derby. And then we'll come back for the last couple of games of the season to see where we finish up. Well, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Like I say, we will come back for the Tottenham home game and the Manchester United away game in a couple of months' time in game. And I will see you all next time. This is Big Will, signing away.